The foundations of the Philippine state. We begin our discussion with the most fundamental declaration of our Constitution. The Philippines is a democratic and republican state. Sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. This statement in Article 2, Section 1 is not merely rhetorical. It is a bedrock principle of our political existence. It tells us that we are not ruled by kings, dictators, or any absolute monarch, but by representatives chosen by the Filipino people. All acts of government, whether legislative, executive, or judicial, derive legitimacy from the consent of the governed. This constitutional declaration reflects both our historical struggle for independence and our continuing aspiration for participatory governance rooted in the will of the people. The Philippines is often described as both republican and democratic, and for good reason. We are republican because government authority is vested in officials who act as representatives of the people chosen through periodic elections. This ensures accountability and prevents power from being concentrated in a ruling elite. At the same time, we are democratic because the Constitution provides avenues for direct action by the people. Examples include the rights to initiative and referendum, where citizens can directly enact or reject laws, and recall, where they can remove elected officials. Perhaps the most iconic demonstration of our democracy was the 1986 People Power Revolution, when millions of Filipinos peacefully took to the streets to restore freedom and democracy. These two terms, Republican and Democratic, are not redundant but complementary, showing that our system values both representative governance and direct participation. Republicanism manifests in several constitutional safeguards. First, we adhere to the principle of the government of laws and not of men, meaning that no one is above the law, not even the highest official of the land. Second, our elections follow the rule of the majority, where leaders gain legitimacy by securing the people's mandates. Third, republicanism demands accountability of public officials, who must always act as stewards of the people's trust. Fourth, the Bill of Rights ensures that fundamental freedoms are protected from government abuse. Fifth, the separation of powers prevents the concentration of authority by allocating it among the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. And finally, the Constitution prohibits irrepealable laws, ensuring that future generations remain free to amend or repeal past legislation according to their needs. Now, together, these features embody a republican character and guard against tyranny. Why do we emphasize republicanism and separation of powers? The answer lies in the wisdom of constitutional design to prevent concentration of authority in one person or group of persons that might lead to despotism. In the case of Pangasinan Transportation Company versus Public Service Commission, the court explained the separation of powers ensures action, forestalls overaction, prevents tyranny, and promotes efficiency in governance. I repeat, separation of powers ensures first, ensures action, second, forestalls overaction, third, prevents tyranny, and fourth, promotes efficiency in governance. By balancing authority among the branches, we avoid irreversible abuses of power and secure stability. This is not merely rhetorical. This is not merely theoretical. It reflects our historical experience of authoritarian rule, reminding us that unchecked power breeds dictatorship, while distributed authority safeguards liberty. A state is defined as a community of persons, more or less numerous, permanently occupying a definite portion of territory, independent of external control, and possessing a government to which the majority of inhabitants render habitual obedience. This definition was affirmed in the case of CIR versus Campus Rueda. Importantly, we distinguish state from nation. A state is a legal or juristic concept concerned with political organization and sovereignty. A nation, on the other hand, is an ethnic or racial concept referring to a people bound by common culture, history, or language. The Philippines is both a state recognized by international law and a nation composed of diverse ethnicities united under one national identity. For statehood to exist, four elements must be present. First, people, meaning inhabitants in sufficient number to maintain self-sufficiency, self-defense, and continuity of generations. Second, a territory, referring to a fixed portion of the Earth's surface where the population resides. Third element, sovereignty, the supreme authority of the state to govern itself and exclude others. And finally, a government, the organization or machinery through which authority is exercised. Without any of these elements, a political community cannot be considered a state under international law. Sovereignty is the right to exercise the function of state to the exclusion of any other state. It is commonly understood as imperium, or the government's authority to rule. This differs from dominium, which is the capacity of the state to own property and resources. Now, there are two kinds of sovereignty, legal sovereignty and political sovereignty. Legal sovereignty, the supreme power to affect legal interests through law-making and enforcement. And political sovereignty is the totality of influences, legal and non-legal, that shape law and governance. As held in the case of Laurel versus Misa, sovereignty is characterized as permanent, exclusive, comprehensive, absolute, indivisible, inalienable, and imprescriptible. These qualities highlight its supremacy, whereas we will see modern sovereignty is tempered by international obligations. Although sovereignty is supreme, it is not absolute. The doctrine of auto-limitation recognizes that a state may voluntarily restrict its sovereignty by entering into treaties or joining international organizations. In Tañada versus Angara case, the Supreme Court emphasized that sovereignty is limited by, first, membership in the international community, and second, obligations under treaties. Moreover, international law imposes the principle of non-intervention enshrined in the UN Charter, which prohibits interference in another state's internal affairs. Now, the International Court of Justice's Nicaragua decision clarified that coercion, whether armed or political, violates sovereignty. This means that while states are sovereign, they are also bound to respect the sovereignty of others, balancing independence with global cooperation. The government is the aggregate of authorities by which society is ruled, as explained in the case of US versus Dor. Governments may be de jure, meaning established according to constitutional authority, or de facto, meaning existing in fact but not recognized as lawful. De facto governments may arise through usurpation, military invasion, or insurrection. After the 1986 People Power Revolution, President Corazon Aquino's government was challenged the Supreme Court as de facto. However, in the case of Lawyers League versus Aquino, the Supreme Court declared the Aquino government as a de jure government because it derived legitimacy directly from the sovereign will of the Filipino people and was recognized by the international community. This case illustrates how sovereignty ultimately rests in the people, whose collective will confers legitimacy. The Philippines adopts a presidential system of government patterned after the United States model. Its most distinguishing feature is the supremacy of the presidency as the chief executive elected independently of the legislature. Unlike parliamentary systems, where the executive depends on legislative confidence, the Philippine president serves for a fixed term, ensuring stability. In the case of Free Telephone Workers Union versus Minister of Labor, the courts recognized this supremacy, underscoring that executive power encompasses control over the entire bureaucracy. This structure reflects our historical preference for a strong executive balanced by constitutional checks such as impeachment, judicial review, and legislative oversight.